this is Simon Gray. This is the Super Secret Scope, if I can say that. And this morning I'm broadcasting live from my car. This is the Super Secret Scope because on this scope, which I do every day, I talk about a couple of things. I talk about careers and I talk about business. And I'm the author of 2 books, hence the title of the scope: Super Secrets of the Successful Job Seeker and Super Secrets of Successful Executive Job Search. And I've literally just come out of BBC Radio. There you can see that above to my right. Just read the morning papers, which I do on a monthly basis. And this morning we had an educational theme, so we were talking about some of the GCSE results that have just come out, about graduate jobs. We actually talked about the fact that Oxford University graduates have been reported to be taking an NHS prescribed drug to improve their brain power. So all sorts of stuff. And if you'd like to catch that broadcast, I'll be putting that into my podcast tomorrow this week. So if you go to iTunes and subscribe to the Career Codex podcast, that's CODEX, you'll be able to get that on there. Anyway, this morning, not really talking about careers. I'm talking about business. In fact, I am talking a little bit about careers because what I'm talking about today is about how you build relationships with the media. And what do I mean by the media? Well, I'm talking about the press, I'm talking about the radio, and I'm talking about TV. And I've pretty much done the majority. Well, I've done all of those and do some of them on a more regular basis than others. And you might be thinking, well, that's not maybe relevant to me. But in actual fact, in the world we live in now, promotion of self and promotion of business is extremely important. And whether you're looking for a job or whether you're in business looking to promote your business, if you have exposure in the press and media, that gives you and your business credibility. And it does that for the same reason that all of these social media channels exist. It does that because it's this thing called social proof. So the fact that BBC Radio have had me in this morning to read the papers is basically saying, well, this guy has got an opinion. He's going to turn up, he's going to be credible. He's going to talk some sense, hopefully. So it just gives me a bit of credibility. And yesterday, on the scope, I was talking about LinkedIn and LinkedIn profile and how to create one that's sticky. And what I mean by that is that people land on it and they want to read more. If you just have text on there, well, it's very easy to bounce off and go elsewhere. So what you can put on there through something called SlideShare is press cuttings, articles where you've actually spoken in the press or you've had exposure in the press, which just gives you a bit more credibility on there, in addition to your recommendations and 1 or 2 other things. And it's a visual content. We all like visual content now. Video is hugely important. There's a couple of videos on my LinkedIn profile, and they tend to get watched because people land on it and they want to watch the video rather than read the text. It's instantaneous information. So this morning, I wanted to talk a little bit about the press and the media. So what are they looking for? I'll talk about what are they looking for first off, and then I'll talk about how you approach them to build a relationship. So the first thing that they're looking for, in my opinion, funnily enough, is opinion. So they want somebody who can go on or speak in the paper, whatever it is, whatever the medium. They want somebody who can go on and give an opinion, a credible opinion on something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a mainstream opinion. You don't necessarily have to toe the party line. So, in some respects, the more controversial your opinion or the more different your opinion, the more newsworthy it is and the more interest you're likely to get from the radio, the TV and from the newspapers. The second thing that they're looking for, in my opinion, is reliability. So, journalists work really hard and journalists have got to come up with content each and every day. And they want people that they can rely on. They want go-to people. People they can pick up the phone to who will respond instantaneously and give them a credible piece of news or story or opinion on something that matters. So one of the ways that I've been able to develop my media profile is to always be accessible. Always answer the phone if it's the press calling. Generally they call with a restricted number, so there's no number, so it's the press or the media. And just being available, making myself available. The other element to reliability, of course, is making sure that you turn up when you say you're going to turn up. So sometimes you'll have the option, if it's a radio show, to phone in. Sometimes, as this morning, outside BBC Radio, there we go. Sometimes, as with this morning, I've been in the studio. So if you're going to turn up, you've got to turn up. Because if you don't turn up, they won't ask you again. And in actual fact, if you have the opportunity to go face-to-face, i.e. to turn up and be interviewed face-to-face, although it can be a little bit more daunting, it's generally a better thing to do because you build relationships. And as we all know, you build relationships on social media, through email, etc., etc., but you build far better relationships face-to-face. And what else are they looking for? Well, they're looking for confidence and the ability to communicate. Now, the first time I ever did a radio interview, I'll be honest, I was absolutely terrified because you walk into the studio, there's the presenter who's live on air. You're not quite sure when you should speak, when you shouldn't speak. There's a microphone in front of you and you start to get nervous. And, that's okay. That's okay because practice makes perfect. And the more you do it, the better you become. So you just got to get past those nerves. If you're asked to do it, say yes and crack on and do it. The more you do it, the calmer you'll be next time. And now it doesn't really faze me, and I actually quite enjoy it. Communication, though, is about communicating your message clearly and concisely. So if it's in the newspaper, in fact, any media, they're generally looking for sound bites. So statements that you make that are press-worthy. So it could be a phrase that you use, it could be a summary headline, a bit like the headlines in the paper, or headlines you see on the news and this, that, and the other. If you can interject some headlines into your narrative, that makes it more newsworthy, and you're more likely to be asked back. Communication as well is about telling stories and having a start, a middle, and an end, and not waffling on. So, this morning I was talking about a number of things in the paper. So I set the scene. That's the start of the story. So what's the story about? Where is it? Then I talk about the middle bit of the story. What's the message? What's the article in summary? What's it saying? And then finally, I talk about the end. So what's the impact of that? What's the issue? What's the thing that requires further information or further research or further conversation? Because when you're in the paper, when you're on the radio, when you're on the TV, they run to really tight schedules. So you've got to be quick. You don't have a lot of time. So you've got to communicate your message clearly, concisely, with confidence. So this may all sound like you might be sitting there watching and thinking, crikey, I can't go on the radio, I can't go on the TV. Well, absolutely you can. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from in the world, or what it is you do. If you approach the press and the media in the right way, you'll get some airtime. And I wanted to tell you a little story now about how I got started going on the radio, going on the TV, and this, that, and the other. So I started my own recruitment company back in 2008. And at this time, started with two business partners. We don't even have an office. We've got absolutely nothing. We've just got a dream to start a business and run a business. Had lots of experience in recruitment, but that's very, very different to actually running a business. And anyway, I'm lying in bed one morning, and I hear this guy on the radio, and he's being interviewed about CVs and what you should have and what you shouldn't have on a CV. And I thought, crikey, hang on a minute. This guy's being interviewed on the radio. Why isn't it me? I'm running a recruitment company at that time. Why aren't I on the radio being interviewed? In actual fact, I didn't really have a business at that point, but that didn't stop me. And I sent an email to the radio station saying, really enjoyed the show this morning. Great content, really interesting. If you're looking for any further comment on CVs, recruitment, interview skills, or whatever else, this is what I can talk about. And I bullet pointed what I could talk about. Anyway, I got a phone call a few days later, and a few days after that, I was in the studio doing a radio interview about something to do with employment. I can't really remember what it was at that point in time. And that was my start with the media. So I thought, well, that was quite good. So I did a similar thing with the local paper, the local business editor, and just made some contact and said, it's been on the radio, I can talk about this. If you want to listen to me on the radio, click this link, so they could see that I could do a good job. Admittedly, I was pretty nervous that first time, but I got through it. And then I just started to broaden out, and I built a relationship with the news team at the local Chamber of Commerce. And wherever you're watching this in the world, I imagine you have a local Chamber of Commerce, a local business organisation of sorts. So I built a relationship with the news team, and that started with me retweeting their stuff, commenting on their stuff online, and eventually a face-to-face meeting. And then back in, when was it? I think it was 2013. Was it 2013? We had in the UK we had a new governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney, and Mark Carney did his first public address. It might have been 2012. Time flies, but anyway, whenever he came to Nottingham, which was his first public address outside of London, he landed in Nottingham, and the world's media descended on Nottingham, which is where I'm talking to you from today. And the world's media wanted to talk to people about his policies, his forward guidance policy, which was about linking the interest rate to the employment rate. So at that time, my business had got going, it was doing quite well. I knew a little bit about employment, recruitment, because I run a recruitment company, and also I knew about running a business because I was an SME business owner. And anyway, one day I was down in London doing some interviews, some senior candidates for a finance director position, and I got a phone call, and it was one of those phone calls where the number doesn't pop up. And I answered the phone, and on the end of the phone was a journalist from the Wall Street Journal. I nearly fell off my chair, and he wanted to talk to me about what I thought about Mark Carney's policy. I thought, crikey, this is amazing. I couldn't quite believe what was going on. So I spoke to the journalist about what I thought. I am quite interested in that stuff. Studied economics. I'm a qualified accountant, so I kind of knew what I was talking about. Luckily, because when the Wall Street Journal call, they want the detail. They want to know they want to know the inside leg measurement of what it is you're saying and why you're saying it. Anyway, so carried on that week. And this is the week before Mark Carney came to the region. Carried on that week, and within the space of a week, I'd had phone calls and done interviews with the Financial Times press, paper, and also FT World. I'm still on the Financial Times website somewhere. In fact, you can see it on my LinkedIn profile. Had BBC National News at 10. Was the top story on the news at 10 o'clock news, and it was unbelievable. This is free publicity, or was free publicity for my business, and you can't really put a price on that. If you wanted to advertise in the break on the news at 10 o'clock, it would cost you thousands of pounds. But to be the top story, or featured in the top story on BBC National News at 10 was huge. And I looked at the Google Analytics report that told me how many people had clicked onto my website at the time, and you should see the spike. It was unbelievable. Anyway, so the point of telling you that is to say anyone can do it. Anyone can build a relationship with the press. All it needs is a first step, an offering to help, offering to come on, give an opinion, and then going on there and being credible and giving that opinion and communicating clearly. And don't worry if you don't get it perfect first time, because there's no such thing as perfection. But if you're prepared to put yourself out there as an individual looking for a job, or as an individual in business, you will start to get recognition and you will start to get noticed. And it's all brand building, personal brand building and business brand building. And I'm talking to you this morning on Periscope. What's this all about? Well, it's brand building for my careers and employability training company, Career Codex. It's about giving out content, information that's helpful to people that they can then take away and use in their lives. So, one thing I didn't say is, so everything was linked. So that first interview that I heard while I was lying in bed one morning led me to contact the radio station. I then talked about contacting the local press and the Chamber of Commerce. And that phone call from the Wall Street Journal came as a result of the Chamber of Commerce. Because the Wall Street Journal, coming to Nottingham, wanted to talk to a group of people that would have contacts with business people that could have an opinion. And when they phoned up the guy at the Chamber of Commerce and said, who can we talk to? Mark Carney's coming up, the new governor of the Bank of England. Are we still there? Yep, somebody trying to call me. Because I'd built a relationship, and there's the bin lorry opposite. Oh, you proves this is live. Because I'd built a relationship, I got the call. So really, really fortunate, and now actually really enjoy engaging with the press. So wanted to leave with you a couple of messages. Media is hugely important, whether you're looking for a job or building a business. Don't be scared of the media. Offer to help, offer to give advice, and put yourself out there, and it will yield rewards. So if you like what you've heard this morning, and want to tune into my future scopes, which are all about careers, business building, and all that kind of stuff, if you follow at Career Codex on Twitter and also on Periscope. If you've got any comments or feedback, or you want to see this played again, if you go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Career Codex. And as I mentioned at the start, I run a podcast, a weekly podcast on iTunes, which is Career Codex, and I again on there, just through a different medium, talk about careers, starting businesses, and all that kind of good stuff. So it's about 10 to 9 here in the UK. It was an early start this morning. As I said yesterday on the scope, the early bird catches the worm. So unless anyone's got any questions, I'll jump off now, and I'll be back online either later today or tomorrow.